There were 3 sewing machines in a farmhouse outside Corydon, Iowa this spring, and the family was paying a fellow $90 to haul them off. 2 black treadles in oak cabinets heavy as a cook stove, and a little black case on the floor with quilting magazines stacked on top of it. The daughter asked if I wanted any of it before the truck came. I loaded both treadles onto the trailer bed for her, no charge, because that is what they were worth. The little case I set on the seat of my truck cab. That was a Singer Featherweight, and with its case, its tray of attachments, and the manual in the lid, it brought $840. The 2 heavy ones that family had dusted and protected for 60 years went out the door for scrap iron money. The one they were stacking magazines on paid for a transmission. My name is Otis Granger. I am 64, and I have spent 40 years picking barns, estate auctions, and farm sales across the Midwest. Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Nebraska, a good piece of Missouri, and I will say the awkward part up front so nobody feels lied to later. I do not sew. I could not thread one of these if you paid me. But there is a heavy black sewing machine in nearly every estate I have walked into in 40 years, and the family always asks me to take it away. Always. I have loaded hundreds, and somewhere in all that lifting I learned which ones ride in the trailer bed and which ones ride up in the cab. I read badges, decals, and serial plates. That is the whole claim I am making. 10 old sewing machines, counting down. Before we get rolling, drop a comment and tell me where in the world you are watching from. Iowa, Alabama, Scotland, does not matter to me. I read every single one. And stay with me through number 2, because that is the one families throw in the garbage on purpose, and it is often worth more than the machine. Subscribe if this is useful. I have watched too many families haul off more than the whole load paid them, and I cannot be at all of it. I carried machines to the curb myself for years before anybody showed me what I was carrying. So I wrote it down, the Barn Find Bible. It is in the top comment right under this video, or just type barnfindbible.com. All right, back to it. The word Singer on the front of a machine tells you almost nothing about money. Singer built them by the tens of millions, and one plant in Scotland is credited with better than 36 million all by itself. The story is the model, the finish, the decals, whether the case and the attachments survived, and the number stamped in the bed. And old does not mean valuable. Age is not a value word. It is just age. A machine can be 110 years old and still be a $100 machine. Number 10. Number 10 is the floor of this list, and it is the machine most of you have. The heavy black treadle in the oak cabinet, cast iron head hinged into a wooden top, iron frame underneath, the foot pedal. Here is the honest number, said Flat, because I would rather you trust me than like me. Most of these are $50 to $150. Not thousands. Everybody's family kept one, so there is no shortage anywhere. And it weighs 150 pounds, so nobody ships it, which means your buyer has to live within driving distance. What lifts one? An early ornate cabinet, the parlor style with the drop leaf and drawers, can be worth more than the machine sitting in it. An uncommon badge, and the wood, because a cabinet that spent 30 years in a damp basement is done. A clean early cabinet with a good head reaches 250, sometimes past 300. That is the ceiling. Number 9 is the Singer 66, and it teaches you to read a machine by its decals instead of its shape. It came out in 1902 and gave the world the drop and round bobbin nearly every modern machine still uses. On the American ones, Singer laid a gold and red scroll across the arm that collectors call the red eye. The decals are the value, not the machine. A 66 with the gold rubbed down to bare silver where a forearm rested for 40 years is a $100 to $200 machine. That same machine with crisp, bright, original red eye in a decent cabinet runs $400 to $800. Here is the trap. A repaint with reproduction decals over the top often will not clear $100. So take a lamp to it. Original gold has depth, it wears unevenly, and it sits under the varnish rather than on top. Reproductions sit up proud, and they are the same flat brightness everywhere. That range I wrote in my own notes back in '96. Number 8 is the little ones that look like toys and are not. Tiny hand crank machines, 6 or 8 inches tall, a small wheel on the side, usually a clamp underneath to screw to a table edge. They turn up in a box with the Christmas ornaments. The one to know by name is the Singer So Handy Model 20. A plain bare one runs $70 to $150. A clean, complete one with its box and the table clamp has sold from $260 up past $500. Now the honest trap. Real toy machines exist, and most of them are just toys. The stamped tin ones and the dime store ones from after the war are commonly $20 to $60. The difference is the casting. A So Handy is small cast iron with a real needle bar and a real presser foot. A toy is pressed sheet metal, heavy with machined parts. You have something. Light and tinny, it is a toy. Number 7 is the 2 American names nobody gives credit to, the White Family Rotary and the Free, which most folks know as the Free Westinghouse. White Sewing Machine Company came out of Cleveland, Ohio, and the Family Rotary was their good one, smooth and quiet and often in a nicer cabinet than the Singer beside it. The Free Sewing Machine Company was out of Rockford, Illinois, and when motors came in, they went in with Westinghouse, which is why so many badges carried 2 company names. The money is honest, though. Most land in that same $50 to $150 bracket as the black Singer treadle for the same reasons, weight and supply. A clean family rotary with sharp decals and a good cabinet reaches $250 or $300. And a great many old machines wear a store's name instead of a maker's. The National Sewing Machine Company out of Belvidere, Illinois, sent machines out under dozens of badges for hardware stores and mail order houses. There is a page in my own book that is nothing but badge names and who really built the machine. Number 6 is the strangest looking machine here and one of the most collected, Willcox and Gibbs. A small machine with a curved iron body shaped almost like the letter G. No square arm, no bulk, just that curve. James Gibbs patented the single-thread chain stitch behind it in 1857. There is no bobbin in it at all. One thread comes off the spool and hooks into itself underneath, which gives you a test that does not require you to know one thing about sewing. Look at the underside of any stitching left in the machine. A chain stitch leaves a little braid instead of the flat locked line a normal machine leaves. Braid underneath and no bobbin, and you have a Willcox and Gibbs. Honest range. A common one is $100 to $200. Clean early ones with the glass oiler and the wooden cover climb toward $450. And the loss I see most is that little machine going for $5 at a yard sale because everybody decided it was a broken toy. Now stop the count, because everything left on this list runs on one thing, and it takes about a minute to learn, the number in the metal. Every Singer ever built carries a serial number. On the old cast iron machines, it is stamped into the bed at the base of the pillar, the upright where the arm comes out of the body. On later ones, it is on a small plate on the front. Tip the machine back, put a flashlight on it, and write that number down on paper before you go near a computer. Then count the digits, and count them twice. Count how many digits follow the letter, and if the first one is a 0, that 0 counts. It is part of the number, not a space filler. Reading a 7-digit number as a 6-digit number does not just give you the wrong year, it gives you the wrong model entirely. Then read the front of it, numbers only, no letter at all, and that machine was almost certainly built before 1900. That is when you slow down. 1 letter and then digits puts you in the 20th century. 2 letters puts you later still. Then look it up, and it costs nothing. The International Sewing Machine Collectors Society keeps the tables at ismax.net. Research, then Singer, then dating, then the comprehensive serial number chart. Find your letter and scroll until you reach the block your number falls inside. What comes back is the year, the model, and often the exact day the batch was allotted. A second chart tells you which factory built it, Elizabethport in New Jersey or Clydebank in Scotland. 2 warnings: if somebody scratched that number, filed across it, or drilled a hole through the plate, the machine left the factory as a second, and it is worth noticeably less. And these tables are Singer only. A White, a Free, a Wheeler, and Wilson will not be in them, so for those you read the badge and the patent dates and ask in a collector's group, there is a page in my own notes that is nothing but where the number hides on each maker. The name on the front is what the family repeats at the kitchen table. The number underneath is the part that is true, number 5. Number 5 is the machine dealers quietly call the best Singer ever built, and it goes to the curb constantly because it looks like every other black Singer in America. The Singer 201. It came out in 1935, full rotary, gear-driven, built to a standard the company never went back to. The one to want is the 201-2 with the motor geared straight into the body instead of turning a belt on the outside. If the motor is built into the machine itself and the hand wheel turns with a smooth, heavy quiet you can feel through your fingers, slow down. Some carry a small badge on the bed reading a century of sewing service, 1951, which was Singer's 100th year. It does not make the machine, but it dates it on site. Common case first, a rough 201 with a dead motor, worn decals, and a stiff shaft is a $100 to $150 machine. A clean running head is $200 to $500. In a good cabinet, up toward $900. I had to look that badge year up in my own notes last winter, and I have been at this 40 years. Number 4 is where we cross into the truly old. Wheeler and Wilson out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Before Singer bought them out in 1905, they were his great rival. Their man Allen Wilson patented the rotary hook and the 4-motion feed, the guts of nearly every sewing machine built since. So Singer was not buying a competitor, he was buying the mechanism. You read this one off the nameplate. If it says Wheeler and Wilson with no Singer name on it, you are before 1905 by definition, because everything after came out badged as Singer. Look for the model, usually a number 9 or a number 8, and read the patent dates cast into the bed, because on anything that is not a Singer, those dates are your fastest rough dating. A later model in a nice quarter-sawn oak cabinet realistically brings $400 to $600. The early curved arm machines climb well past that, and they go to specialist buyers. That $400 to $600 came out of sales I wrote down over the years, and it is the steadiest number in the book. Number 3 is museum tier, and I will give you the odds before I get you excited. Grover and Baker, out of Boston in the 1850s, they built a machine that made a 2-thread chain stitch, an elastic stitch that stretched, and one of the first genuinely portable machines in the world, a self-contained thing that lived in its own fitted wooden box. The tells, a glass presser foot on some of them, a paper label pasted under the bed or inside the lid, often with the patent dates on it, and if you find one, do not peel it and do not clean it, because that label is the paperwork. Restored examples have brought up toward $1,900, and one crossed the block at a Canadian auction a few years back at $2,500 Canadian. Most pickers never touch one. I keep a short list in the back of my own book of things I have handled exactly once in 40 years, and this is on it, out of an attic in Postville, Iowa. But a man who does not know what he has will price it like a broken curiosity. Number 2 is the one I told you to wait for, and it is not a machine at all. It is everything that came with the machine. The case, the tray, the little box of silver attachments, the manual with somebody's handwriting in the margin. Families throw all of that out on purpose because it looks like a drawer of odd metal parts, and it is often worth more than the machine. Start with the Singer puzzle box, a small hinged metal box, and when you open it, the trays fold up and out in a way that looks impossible, which is how it got the name. It holds a full set of feet, the ruffler, the binder, the tucker, the hemmers. A complete one is commonly $100 to $250, all by itself. Then the case. A bentwood dome, the curved wooden cover that clamps over a portable with its base and its key, is $100 to $200 on its own. Same with the featherweight case and the tray inside it. Here is the rule. Never separate the paperwork from the object. A complete outfit reads like something that was cared for. My own notes put a complete outfit at a third again over a bare head, and on the good machines closer to double. So open every drawer in that cabinet before you sell anything. And number one is almost certainly the machine that is actually in your house or your mother's or on a shelf at your grandmother's. The Singer Featherweight, Model 221. Small black, about 11 pounds, gold scroll work on the arm, a fold-up extension on the left end of the bed, and it lives in a black case with a handle like a country doctor's bag. Singer showed it at the Chicago World's Fair in 1933 and built well over 1 million of them. So it is not rare, but quilters chase these the way collectors chase almost nothing else, and demand is not the same thing as rarity, but it spins the same. A rough, common black one with a tired motor and no case is $150 to $250. A clean running one with its case and tray is $300 to $900. That already beats the treadle back at number 10. Then the variants, and this is where you turn it over and read, the wartime black side. Through the war years, the plating was not to be had, so the trim that is normally bright chrome, the faceplate, the bobbin case, the thumb screws, came out blackened instead. A clean one steps above a common black machine into the high hundreds and up. The white and the tan. Later runs put out a white 221 and a pale tan 1, and far fewer were made. A clean white one is commonly a 4-figure machine, the wrinkle finish, instead of shiny black japanning, a rough crinkled surface. It came out of a couple of very short runs, and collectors count the known survivors in the dozens worldwide. One in top condition is documented at $5,400. That is the highest number in this video, and it is the exception, not the expectation. And the Grail, the 222K, built in Scotland from about 1953, a free arm version with feed dogs that drop, never sold new in this country in any number. Clean, complete ones run well into 4 figures. If you have one, do not put it out at a yard sale. Take it to a sewing machine collectors group or a dealer who specializes. The line in my own book about this machine is underlined twice, and all it says is that the money walks out of the house in a lunchbox. Some plain talk about condition. Dust and old gummed oil cost you nothing. What costs you is cleaning. Do not take anything abrasive to a decal, and that includes most of what is under your kitchen sink, because the gold sits in a shellac finish and common cleaners lift it straight off. I watched a woman take a scrub sponge to a red eye 66 and turn a $600 machine into a $100 machine. I have a page of exactly that in my own notes, and every line is there because I did it myself once. Here is what all of it comes down to. Value hides in plain sight. The heavy machine the family protected for 60 years would not let the grandkids touch. That is the cheap one. The little case on the closet floor with the shoe boxes stacked on it. The one nobody has opened since your grandmother passed. That is the money. Every single time. So tonight, go to the closet, the back of the sewing room, the top shelf, that corner of the basement where the cabinet ended up. Tip the machine back and get a light on the bed. Read the name. Read the decals, find the number and count the digits twice. Open the case, count what is in the tray, find the manual. And do not let a truck pull out of your driveway until you have. Then come tell me in the comments whose machine it was, your mother's, your grandmother's, your aunt's, the one that came with the house. Tell me her name and tell me where in the world you are watching from. I read every single one.